This is some big news here. There was a story in the Daily Beast. Melania named in bombshell new Epstein claims. This is really significant, guys. Okay? A lot of, hubbub has been floating around in the air about Melania Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Amanda Ungaro going like apeshit on her, dropping some pretty serious allegations, and shit is getting live. By the way, 40% of the people who are watching my YouTube are not subscribed, so make sure you hit that sub button. All right, you get all the good gossipy shit and you laugh your ass off, and you get a lot of Kermit phone. All right? And it is all centered around 𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗆𝗆, who was another one of these skeezy fucking model guys, okay, in the 90s, out there, like, abusing women. And, he ended up dating a young woman named Amanda Ungaro from Brazil, a Brazilian model. All right, he marries her. They have a kid together. Then he asked Trump to deport her because they're having a custody battle over the kid. And so he deports Amanda. Trump steps in. ICE helps Trump's Epstein buddy, 𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗆𝗆𝗆, and they deport Amanda Ungaro. Now, she started speaking up. She got on Twitter. She started outing things. Melania had that crazy batshit press conference and is just out of the blue is like, yo, me and Jeffrey Epstein 𝗙𝗍𝗍.
The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein.
With Epstein.
Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence.
Oh, yeah.
My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note.
Trivial.
I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump.
Okay, so there we go. Now that's been her big claim, is that Epstein did not introduce her to Donald Trump. And supposedly 𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗆𝗆𝗆 introduced Melania to Donald Trump. However, the scuttlebutt that has always existed around this was that Epstein knew Melania first. This was Andrew Lowney, the author who wrote the book about Prince Andrew, put this in his book. Michael Wolff has talked about this. There have been many people who have talked about the scuttlebutt that Melania was not only in Epstein's sort of crew, but that Epstein had been sleeping with her and that she had in fact even worked for him, as an escort. And that is how Trump met Melania, was through Epstein. Now, that would explain a lot. That would explain a lot of why Melania didn't care about Trump's infidelity, why Melania didn't care about Stormy Daniels or Karen McDougal or any of the affairs or any of the BS, why Melania is making a movie with Jeffrey Epstein devotee Brett Ratner directing it, a guy who was on the island, guy who was, very close with Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel. I mean, her being in the center of this would just make so much sense with the way she has behaved and the way she has existed in this realm. Now, I think it's pretty common knowledge about her connection to Epstein. And I feel like that has always been, part of the rumor mill and part of the, assumed discussion. If you look at Melania and Epstein together, when you look at these guys, I mean, you can see her hair and her hair, Ghislaine, and Melania's hair is stringy and wet. You can see that they've been dancing. Okay, if you look at it, the men have not been dancing. The men were hanging out, doing what they do, probably talking shit about the women, but the women were fucking dancing together. There's another one of them where Melania is clearly jacked on coke. Okay, look at her, dude. She is like so, spun. I mean, but they're like body to body, right? With their girls. Blah, blah, blah. She says, oh, I don't know him. I only knew him socially. Now, it gets even weirder, guys, when you throw Prince Andrew in the mix, okay? Because here they are at Mar-a-Lago, and there's Melania, and there's Gwendolyn Beck, a known swinger, Prince Andrew and Epstein, and they're like hanging out. Now, this is not the only time they've been together. There was a Heidi Klum had the pimp and hose party, and Ghislaine and Andrew and Trump and Melania were there. They were at all kinds of fashion events. And now around the time that Melania met Trump, Epstein and Trump were best buddies. So there's like a very deep connection with these guys. Now, Melania has gone out of her way trying to distance herself from this. And naturally, this presser was in response to Amanda Ungaro. Okay. Now, the reason why we're bringing this up is because Amanda Ungaro released some audio that was a bombshell.
Let's tell the public you never was the one introduced Melania to Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein. She was a escort of Jeffrey Epstein. That's how she met Donald Trump. Okay? You are like a fucking piece of shit that supposedly asking a favor to be in the power with the titles, and then Melania cover you and you cover Melania. Let's be honestly. Nobody's a fucking stupid here. And I know because I was with you 20 years and you always told me it was not you, was Jeffrey Epstein.
So there you go. So she's talking to Paolo. Dude, you gotta love her. I mean, is she feist or what? She calls him out. Dude, I have listened to this like 50 times. I love it. Because Amanda Ungaro is a powerhouse, guys. She is. This is her, all right? She is a fucking powerhouse, boss. This is Amanda Ungaro, Trump, and Melania. My God, dude, her face is cooked. Look at Paolo. Dude, he is such a creeper. And there's their kid. They deported her to Brazil, and he took the kid. I mean, they're so dirty. But now she's throwing him under the bus. Let's listen to this again, dude. I love her.
Let's tell the public you never was the one introduced Melania to Trump. It was Jeffrey Epstein. She was a escort of Jeffrey Epstein. That's how she met Donald Trump. Okay? You are like a fucking piece of shit that supposedly asking a favor to be in the power with the titles, and then Melania cover you and you cover Melania. Let's be honestly. Nobody's a fucking stupid here. And I know because I was with you 20 years and you always told me it was not you, was Jeffrey Epstein.
Dude, so there you go, dude. Dude, so she is sinking them. All right. Now, there's a lot in there because she's saying that 𝗍𝗪𝗪 did not introduce Melania to Trump. And in fact, that she was an escort. Melania Trump was an escort for Jeffrey Epstein. And that is how they met. And that Paulo's always known this. And he's only covering for Melania because Trump wanted to. And let's be very clear about who 𝗍𝗪𝗪 was back in the day. Okay, because it started centered around John Casablancas. John Casablancas had a modeling agency called Elite Models. He was the guy in New York, and he was a good friend of Trump's. And I'm going to show you a photo here from the 90s with the kids. It is this photo where you have Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, you have Eric and Ivanka, okay? Trump is with the kids. This is John Casablancas right here. Okay? This is John Casablancas of Elite Models. He was the center of the modeling agency in the 90s, okay? Now, this was their game. Casablancas would bring models over from Italy, from France, from Russia, what have you, right? And then part of what he did was when he had events, Casablancas would require those models to show up and do things, be the entertainment. That was originally where these guys got their feet wet in this shit, was through Trump's friendship with John Casablancas. Eventually, Trump started his own Trump Models. And Trump Models exclusively brought women from Eastern Europe. And when I say women, I use that loosely because some of them were women, but most of them were girls. They were like 14 to 17, okay? But there were some women that were 18 and up, but most of them were girls, okay? Now, what would happen is Trump would import these Eastern European girls, and then he would put them up in his properties. There would be like 10 of them to an apartment, and they would be paying exorbitant amounts of rent. So Trump would get them a modeling job here or there. He would require them to come and service his buddies at parties. Okay, that's like the guy from 2 Live Crew talked about those crazy fucking parties. And then Trump would charge them exorbitant rent. So what he was doing is he was bringing underage girls from Eastern Europe here, pimping them out at parties and charging them to live here. And then they were never actually becoming successful models. And eventually when they'd be done with them, they would just ship them back to Europe. Now, eventually Epstein and Jean-Luc Brunel started their own MC2 modeling agency, but that's what these guys did. Now, Melania was from Slovenia. Okay, she came over here young. And Amanda Ungaro is now essentially tying her to Epstein and saying, yeah, she was an escort of his and she was trying to become a model. And that's how she met Trump. There is another photo of them in 2022 at New Year's. Melania Trump, Amanda Ungaro, and Paolo 𝗍𝗪𝗪. Look at that shit, dude. These guys were very close. Okay, Amanda Ungaro was an insider. She was very deeply in this. I mean, as you can see, these are not just, she's not some random woman making a crazy claim. Ungaro was 17 when she boarded Epstein's private jet, the Lolita Express, from Paris to New York in June of 2002. She was accompanied by her then agent, Jean-Luc Brunel, who was a recruiter for Epstein. Now, guys, you got to look at this. Okay, because this is Melania's movie, all right? Melania's movie was directed by Brett Ratner, a known SA abuser. This is Brett Ratner. This is the director of Melania's movie last fucking year. This is Jean-Luc Brunel, the modeling agent. That's them at Epstein Island together. Okay, this is the guy who introduced Amanda Ungaro to Paolo 𝗍𝗪𝗪 and Jeffrey Epstein. and he was later arrested by French authorities. And while he was in jail, he ended up unaliving himself just like Jeffrey Epstein did. So guys, I mean, like, they're all tied together. They are like lock, stock, and barrel, guys. Okay? They, like, Ungaro has been deeply connected to Melania, and she is like, they are all in this world together, boss. And it's all coming out. It is all coming out, boss. And I'm here for it. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.